I never thought revenge would taste like aged scotch and the faint metallic tang of someone else's cologne. But there I was, staring into the bathroom mirror of Victor Hale's Park Avenue penthouse, his chiseled jaw clenching under my control, practicing the exact curl of his lip that had humiliated me on national TV 6 months ago. "Iris Monroe," he drawled then, his voice dripping with that Ivy League polish, "is nothing but a desperate climber who faked her way into my world. Ladies and gentlemen, she's the fraud who tried to sink Hale Industries and failed spectacularly." The clip had gone viral. 2 million views by morning. My face plastered across every screen from Fox to CNN as the villainess who embezzled millions from his empire. They called me the gold digger gone wrong. My career in investigative journalism? Shredded. My savings? Seized in the FBI raid. And the kicker? I hadn't touched a dime. Victor had funneled the funds through shell accounts he'd pinned on me. His perfect patsy, while he skated free on a yacht in the Hamptons. That press conference wasn't just mockery, it was burial. I stood there in the back row, handcuffs biting into my wrists, watching him bask in the flashbulbs, his tailored Armani suit hugging a body built for boardrooms and betrayals. We'd been engaged once, me, the scrappy reporter from Queens who'd clawed her way to the Times, him, the golden boy CEO who'd promised me the world over late-night takeout in his Tribeca loft. "You're my edge, Iris," he'd whispered, tracing my collarbone. "The one who sees the shadows I can't." Lies. All of it. The embezzlement was his, siphoning cash to fund a black market biotech venture. Some twisted dream of cheating death. And when the auditors closed in, he fed me to the wolves, planting evidence in my laptop like breadcrumbs leading straight to hell. I took the fall. 18 months in federal lockup at Danbury, where the days blurred into gray regret and the nights into plots of payback I knew I'd never pull off from behind bars. But fate, or whatever vengeful god watches over the discarded, had other plans. It started with a letter, smuggled in by a guard whose cousin I'd helped expose for corruption back in my reporting days. The switch, it read, scrawled on yellow legal pad. They did it to him first. Clinic in Jersey. Underground. You in. The they was Elysium Labs. Victor's pet project, a rogue outfit peddling body swaps for the ultra-rich, trading mortality for second chances. Turns out, Victor hadn't just stolen money, he'd tested the tech on himself, swapping into a younger donor's shell for a trial run, only to glitch back when the feds sniffed too close. The letter was from Lena, his mistress, a former model turned fixer, who'd seen the logs. She hated him more than I did, said he'd promised her the procedure too, then ditched her when she aged out of his fantasy. He'll do it again, she wrote. Bigger. Take his skin. Make him feel it. I didn't hesitate. Parole came early for good behavior, and Lena met me at the gates in a black Escalade, her red lips curled in a smile that promised chaos. Your skin and bones. Iris, she said, handing me a thermos of spiked coffee. But his body's prime, 38. No mileage. You'll need it. The clinic was a nondescript warehouse off the turnpike. Fluorescent hum and the sharp bite of antiseptic masking the hum of servers in the walls. No mad scientists in lab coats, just tech bros in hoodies. Eyes darting like they knew the feds were one whistleblower away. The procedure? A neural upload. They called it mapping your mind into a quantum buffer, then downloading into the host. Reversible. In theory. Painless. They lied. It felt like drowning in static, every synapse firing as if clawed by hooks, until I woke up gasping in Victor's bed. his silk sheets tangled around legs that weren't mine. The first breath in his lungs was electric, broader shoulders, a heartbeat steady as a metronome, the subtle ache of a life unscarred by prison chow. I stumbled to the mirror, and there he was, Victor Hale, emerald eyes wide with my panic. "Holy shit," I whispered, and his voice boomed back, deep and commanding, the timbre that had sealed boardroom deals and broken my heart. Downstairs, our staff buzzed oblivious. The housekeeper laying out a breakfast of poached eggs and kale smoothies. I dressed in his closet, fingers fumbling with cufflinks that cost more than my old apartment, and by noon, I was him, signing emails, glad-handing investors over Zoom. The king returned. Victor, trapped in my body, was stashed in a safe house upstate, sedated and seething, Lena's guards ensuring he played nice. "Tell no one," she'd instructed. "Or we dump you in the Hudson." Original packaging. Revenge wasn't a checklist, it was a slow bleed. First, the personal touches. I leaked his browser history to a gossip rag, searches for eternal youth serums and discreet escorts over 40, painting him as the vain hypocrite who'd mocked my desperation. The tabloids ate it up. Hale's hypocrisy, CEO's secret shame. His stock dipped 3%. Investors whispering about instability. Then, the board. In his skin, I called an emergency meeting, voice steady as I confessed to the embezzlement, not as Iris, but as Victor owning his sins. I let pressure cloud my judgment. I said, eyes misty for the cameras. Iris Monroe was innocent. I framed her to protect the company. Gasps rippled through the room, flashbulbs popping like gunfire. The board suspended him, pending investigation. But not before I wired the last of his slush fund to whistleblower NGOs. The kind that sue corporations into oblivion. Nights were the hardest. Alone in that penthouse. City lights mocking me through the glass. I traced the scars on my torso from a boyhood sailing accident he never mentioned. Who was this man I'd loved? This shell of secrets? Lena visited twice a week. Her perfume a cloud of jasmine and spite. "He's breaking," she'd say, pouring us scotch. "Screaming your name in that whiny voice of yours. Calls you a thief." We'd laugh. But her eyes lingered too long on my new form, fingers brushing my arm like she was testing the fit. "You wear him better, Iris. Power suits you." Controversy brewed online, Free Iris trended, alongside Lockup Victor. My old colleagues penning op-eds on corporate sexism. How I'd been the fall guy for his ego. Protests outside Hale Tower. Signs reading, "Swap the shame." It was cathartic, watching his empire crack from the inside. But the swap's glitches nagged, phantom itches where my tattoos should be. Dreams where I woke in my own skin, clawing at bars that weren't there. By week 4, the feds circled. An audit trail I'd planted led straight to Elysium. And suddenly, Victor Hale was the face of a scandal bigger than Enron, biohacking billionaires playing God with stolen lives. I played the remorseful mogul in interviews, voice cracking on 60 Minutes. I thought I could outrun my mistakes. But Iris, she deserved better. Ratings soared. Book deals trickled in. Lena orchestrated it all. Her penthouse war room a haze of takeout boxes and burner phones. One night, buzzed on his vintage Macallan, she leaned in close, breath hot against my ear. "You know his biggest secret, right? The one that started it all." I shook my head. Playing coy, Victor had always been a vault. Her laugh was bitter, nails digging into my thigh. The donor for his first swap? It wasn't some anonymous junkie. It was your brother, Iris.
Tommy.
The one who overdosed in that Jersey motel 5 years back. The room spun. Tommy, my kid brother. The junkie I'd bailed out one too many times. The ghost who'd haunted every byline I'd chased on big pharma corruption. Official story. Bad heroin cut with fentanyl. Body shipped to Potter's Field unclaimed. But Victor? He'd met him through a dealer network. Spotted potential in his youth. 25. Unscarred. A blank canvas. He paid Tommy to test the upload, Lena hissed, eyes gleaming. Promised rehab after. But the kid glitched coming back, brain fry. Victor covered it. Pinned the death on you indirectly. Fed the cops your old articles as motive for some vendetta. That's why he framed you later.
Guilt? Nah.
Loose ends. Rage boiled. Hot and black. Victor's fists, my fists clenching until knuckles whitened. Tommy had no deed. He'd been erased. His mind scattered like digital ash in a lab Victor funded with our future. I'd mourned him for years. Donated to NA chapters in his name. All while his killer toasted me at our engagement party. That truth was the detonator. I stormed the safe house at dawn. Lena's goons parting like they sensed the storm. Victor, in my body, frail and furious, lurched from the bed, my old queen's accent twisting his curses. You bitch. Give it back. This skin itches like hell. I grabbed him by the throat. My windpipe fragile under pressure. Tommy, I growled, his voice a thunderclap. You stole his life for your vanity project. His eyes widened, then narrowed, that cunning spark flickering. He volunteered. Iris. 20 grand, enough to kick the habit. You were too busy playing Woodward to save him. Lies. But the seed of doubt burrowed. Had Tommy reached out? A missed call in my logs from that week. Buried under deadlines. The controversy I'd craved now choked me. What if I'd failed him first? The climax hit like a blackout. I dragged him, me, to Elysium under cover of a staged kidnapping. Lena driving with a manic grin. Sirens wailing distant in the rearview. The techs, cornered, prepped the reversal. But Victor thrashed, spilling everything in a frenzy. How the first swap had hooked him. The power of youth. The fear of fading like his old man. Dead at 50 from a heart attack. You think you're avenging? He spat. Strapped to the slab. You're just like me now, stealing lives to feel whole. The upload hummed. Needles pricking. And as our minds bridged the buffer, fragments flashed, his memories bleeding into mine. Tommy's laugh. Young and raw. Haggling over the deal. Victor's hand on my shoulder at the funeral. Whispering condolences while plotting my downfall. And then, the twist that gutted me. In the merge, I saw the logs Lena hadn't. She wasn't the whistleblower. She'd orchestrated the initial frame-up, jealous of our engagement, feeding Victor doubts until he snapped. Do it, she'd urged him that night in the Hamptons. She's a liability. Make her the villain. Lena,
Parked outside.
wasn't savior, she was spider, spinning us both into her web for control of Elysium's tech. As the download completed, my mind slamming back into my body, scarred, weary, real, I gasped awake to her gun at my temple. Sorry, Iris. Victor's too broken now.
But you?
Fresh meat for the next swap. I lunged, prison-honed instincts kicking in, tackling her to the cold tile. The shot rang out, wild, shattering a monitor in sparks. Victor, back in his skin, groggy and gasping, stumbled forward, grabbing a fire extinguisher like a club. We fought like animals. 3 shadows in the glitchy glow. Accusations flying. Her betrayal of us both. His of me, mine of Tommy by absence. In the melee, Victor swung, catching her skull with a crack that echoed like judgment. She slumped, blood pooling, not graphic, but final, her eyes staring at the ceiling fans, whirring indifferent. Sirens closed in. The feds we'd tipped anonymously bursting through the doors. Victor and I, side by side in our true skins, raised hands slick with sweat and regret. The aftermath? A media circus that dwarfed the first. Hale Industries collapsed in a DOJ takedown. Victor testifying against the lab in exchange for reduced time, 10 years. White-collar wing at Otisville.
Me?
Cleared. With a memoir deal and a podcast empire built on the swap's horrors. But victory soured quick. Tommy's remains? Exhumed. Reclassified homicide. But no justice, just a civil suit against ghosts. And Lena? Dead by our hands. Or his. The debate raging in court. Self-defense or mutual murder. Victor wrote from prison. A single letter. We both lost. Iris. But maybe that's the point. Powers just borrowed pain. I burned it. But the words lingered. A scar deeper than any swap could etch.
Now.
2 years on. I walk the High Line at dusk. Manhattan's pulse thrumming under my feet. Free but fractured. Was it revenge or recursion? Trapping us in each other's sins? Fans call it triumph. Critics. A cautionary tale of hubris.
Me?
I pour another scotch, mine this time, and wonder if Tommy's watching. Forgiving or forever judging. The city's lights wink back. Full of secrets yet untold. And I smile. Just a little. Because for once, the mockery's all mine to wield. The trial was a 3-ring circus. Victor's lawyers spinning the swap as experimental therapy gone awry, while the prosecution painted Elysium as Frankenstein's lab for the 1%. I testified in a navy pantsuit, hair pulled back like armor, recounting the frame-up in clipped sentences that hid the tremor in my gut. He didn't just steal my career, I said, meeting the jury's eyes, blue-collar types from Brooklyn. Faces etched with their own grudges against the elite. He stole my name, my future, and buried my brother's chance at redemption under his lies. Gasps rippled. The foreman, a burly ex-cop, nodded slow. Victor sat across the aisle, his frame shrunken in an ill-fitting suit, that once commanding gaze now darting like a cornered fox. He looked at me once, mouth twisting in what might have been apology or accusation. I couldn't tell. And didn't care. Lena's body lay in the morgue. Autopsy confirming the extinguisher blow as fatal. But the DA hedged. Mutual combat, they called it. Offering us both manslaughter pleas if we flipped on the lab's funders. Victor took it, I walked. The victim in the narrative they'd scripted. Freedom tasted like ash. My old apartment in Astoria was sublet to some tech bro. So, I crashed at a friend's in Williamsburg. The kind of walk-up with roaches the size of quarters and Wi-Fi that buffered like my memories. Nights. I'd jolt awake, convinced I was still in his skin, feeling the phantom weight of his Rolex on my wrist. Therapy helped, some park slope shrink with a beard like a Brillo pad, droning about identity reclamation, but pills didn't touch the what-ifs. What if I'd answered Tommy's call that week? What if Lena's betrayal was Victor's idea? A double cross to test my loyalty? Online sleuths dissected it all. Reddit threads exploding with theories. Body swap Betrayal hit 1 million upvotes. Fan art depicting me as a vengeful cyborg queen, Victor as the fallen Caesar. It paid the bills, sponsored posts for VPNs, protect your secrets like Iris did, and true crime pods inviting me on to spill the tea. But the real payback simmered in the shadows. Victor's empire? Auctioned off in fire sale chunks. His Hampton spread bought by a hedge fund prick who'd shorted the stock. I attended the closing under a fake name, sipping flat champagne with the vultures, watching his life's work get carved up like Thanksgiving turkey. Tragic. What happened to Hale? One suit muttered. Ty Askew. But markets don't care about morality. I bit my tongue, channeling that rage into my next move, a nonprofit, Iris, investigative reporting on inequity and secrets, funded by Lena's hidden offshore account I discovered in the chaos. We exposed corporate swaps, the underbelly where billionaires bartered bodies like crypto, donors vanishing from shelters and psych wards. Our first bust? A pharma exec who'd offloaded his Parkinson's into a homeless vet's shell, leaving the man to twitch out his days in a cardboard box. The story broke on the front page of the Post. My byline blazing, the elite's dirty swap. Who pays the price? Controversy dogged me like a bad ex. Feminists hailed me as a survivor, but the manosphere branded me a castrating harpy who'd stolen a man's soul. Late-night slots on Joe Rogan knockoffs grilled me. So, Iris, did it feel good being the big dick for once? I'd laugh it off, but inside, it festered, Victor's voice echoing in my head, that merge leaking doubts. Had the power rush made me complicit? In his body, I'd greenlit layoffs at a subsidiary. 200 souls pink-slipped to pad the quarterlies. Emails from ex-employees flooded my inbox. You ruined us.
Hale.
Hope your remorse keeps you warm. I donated bonuses anonymously, but guilt doesn't balance sheets. Lena's ghost haunted worse. Turns out, she'd been the clinic's silent partner, siphoning patents to sell on the dark web. Her whistleblower letter? A lure to draw me in, testing if I'd bite. Victor confirmed it in a prison visit, separated by plexiglass, his voice tinny through the receiver. She played us both. Iris wanted the tech for herself, immortality without the mess of men. I stared at him, my face, older now, lines etching from stress, reflected in the glass. And you? Just collateral? He leaned close, breath fogging the barrier. I loved you, in my way. But love's a luxury when you're building gods. Pity twisted in me, sharp as a shiv. He wasn't monster or man anymore, just a husk, graying at the temples, appealing a conviction that'd leave him broke and broken. I left without goodbye, but his words burrowed. What if the real secret was ours? A shared rot? Tommy's file, unsealed post-trial, showed texts I'd ignored, sis. Got a gig. Big money. Clean. Desperation disguised as opportunity. I'd been chasing scoops while he drowned. Victor just finished the job. The tension peaked at the gala, Iris's launch, black tie affair at the Met, donors mingling under chandeliers that dripped like honeyed lies. I wore red, a sheath that hugged curves Victor once worshipped, hair loose like a challenge. Speeches flowed, me on stage, voice steady. We've all got secrets buried, bodies, boardrooms, brothers lost. Tonight, we dig them up. Applause thundered. But midway through cocktails, a shadow loomed, Victor's sister, Elena, all pearls and poison, cornering me by the impressionists. You think you're the hero? She hissed. martini sloshing. He was protecting the family legacy. You? A gold-digging tramp who got lucky with a lab rat. Her slap landed soft, but the sting spread, drawing stares. Security hustled her out, but the video hit TikTok by dessert. Iris slapped. Comments a cesspool of "she deserved it" and "patriarchy strikes back." I fled to the rooftop. City sprawl, a glittering accusation. Lungs burning from the chill. That's when the glitch hit, not a swap, but a memory surge. Victor's merge residue firing like bad code. Flashes, him in my body.
Post-swap.
Pounding walls in rage, me and his, signing that layoff memo with a thrill I couldn't deny. And deeper, the twist's crueler edge. Tommy hadn't been coerced. He'd sought Victor out, through Lena's network, begging for the cash to ghost his demons. "Tell Iris I tried," his last upload log whispered. A digital suicide note. The crime I'd suffered for? Not just Victor's fraud, but my own blindness. A sister's failure laundered through his ambition. We were all puppeteers. Strings tangled in hubris. Downstairs, the party raged on, oblivious. I rejoined, toasting with strangers, but the decision loomed, controversial, raw, expose the full truth in my book, or bury it like they had Tommy. The night ended in a stranger's bed, anonymous release that tasted of ash, his hands on my skin feeling foreign as Victor's ever did. Dawn broke gray over the East River, and I chose truth. All of it. No redactions. Let the world debate. Who's the villain when we're all wearing borrowed skins? The book dropped like a grenade, swapped souls, a betrayal in broad daylight, hitting shelves with a publicity blitz that made OJ's confessional look tame. Excerpts leaked on page 6, my raw recount of the merge. Victor's memories bleeding guilt and greed, Tommy's logs, transcribed in heartbreaking fragments, his voice digitized and desperate. Don't hate me, Iris. Just win for once. Sales topped 1 million in week 1, but the backlash was biblical. Protests outside my launch at Strand, pickets waving "Soul Thief" signs, Victor's old cronies funding ads calling it vindictive fiction. CNN debates pitted me against ethicists. Is body swapping the new slavery? Or salvation? I'd counter, mic hot in hand. It's neither. It's the mirror we avoid, showing how far we'll go for forever. Ratings spiked. My TED Talk went viral. 2 million views. But sleep evaded. Chased by dreams where Lena rose, gun in hand, whispering, "You finished what I started." Victor's appeal crumbled under the weight of my revelations. New evidence from Elysium servers. Subpoenaed post-publication, tying him directly to Tommy's donation. He got 15. No parole. Shipped to a supermax in Colorado, where the air thinned like his excuses. I visited once more. Flight from JFK, a blur of turbulence mirroring my gut. The room was sterile. Guards eyeing us like zoo animals. He looked spectral. Cheeks hollowed. That emerald gaze dulled to pond scum. "You gutted me," he said. No preamble. Voice a rasp from disuse. But thanks for the truth. Turns out, I was running from Dad's ghost longer than I thought. I leaned in, glass cold between us. "And me, your edge," he smiled, faint and fractured. "You were the blade, Iris. Sharpest I ever held." We parted with a nod. No hugs through barriers. But something shifted, not forgiveness, but release. The chain of our swapped sins snapping loose. Iris thrived in the fallout. Chapters popping up in Detroit and LA. training journos to sniff out biotech black ops. I mentored kids like old me scrappy, skeptical, from boroughs where dreams died quick. 1. A Latina firebrand named Sophia uncovered a swap ring in Silicon Valley. Tech bros trading 20s for 50s, donors volunteering from IC detentions. Her scoop won a Pulitzer nod. I cried at the news. Ugly sobs in a diner booth. First real tears since the morgue. But darkness clung. Lena's estate fought me for the offshore funds, blood money. Their lawyers sneered in deposition, dragging it to arbitration where I relived the shot. The crack. Her eyes glazing over. The judge ruled for Iris. But the verdict felt hollow. Proceeds of illicit gain revert to restitution. Victor got a cut for survivor's aid, a bitter pill swallowed with morning coffee. Controversy peaked at the Emmys, my documentaries, echoes in the upload. Nominated for Outstanding Investigative Journalism. Red carpet flashbulbs blinded, gowns whispering silk lies. But inside the Dolby, tension crackled like static. I sat front row, Tommy's photo pinned to my clutch, a talisman against the ghosts. When announced, and the Emmy goes to Iris Monroe, roar erupted. But as I climbed the stage, a heckler from the wings, Elena's proxy, some alt-right podcaster shouted, "Murder! You killed for clicks." Microphones caught it. Broadcast live. The room fracturing into cheers and boos. I gripped the podium, heart hammering Victor's old rhythm. And ad-libbed. Guilt's the real killer here. It swaps your soul long before any lab does. Tonight, we own it. Ovation swallowed the jeer. Cut to commercial on tears, mine. Real ones. Post-win. The offers flooded. Hollywood scripting my life. Some starlet as me, but I nixed it. No sanitizing, I told my agent over egg creams at Russ and Daughters. If they want controversy, give 'em the raw. Instead, I funneled the prize to Tommy's foundation. Scholarships for at-risk youth in recovery programs. His grave got a stone finally, simple granite in Calvary Cemetery. Queens. Etched brother. Fighter. Free. I visited on anniversaries. Weeds choking the plot. Talking updates like Hugh stateside. Sophia's killing it.
Tom.
Wish you could have met her. Wind off the bay carried my words. Or maybe doubts. Had the swap shown me mercy? Or just multiplied the masks? The final twist came quiet. No fanfare, a letter from Victor. Postmarked USP Florence. Iris, turns out. The merge left echoes. I see you in dreams. Feel your fire. If there's a next life, swap me out for something kinder.
V.
I folded it into my nightstand. Beside the Emmy dust gathering like regret. Happy ending?
Depends who you ask.
The world sees triumph, a woman who clawed back from the abyss. Toppling titans. But in the mirror, I see fractures, the controversial choices. Like letting Lena's web ensnare us. Or wielding Victor's power without flinching. Tragic? Maybe. If you count the souls we scattered, Tommy's most of all. Debatable. Sure, podcasts still argue if I avenged or avenged too far. If power corrupts or just reveals.
Me?
I walk lighter now. Queen Street's familiar underfoot. Chasing stories that matter. The overlooked. The swapped out. No more penthouses or poltergeists. Just me. Iris Monroe. Scars and all. Scripting my own skin. And if the city's hum whispers mockery, I mock back. Louder. Because in the end, revenge isn't the win, it's the echo that lingers. Daring you to listen.